Now this video was never part of the plan, but just classic. Someone's offered me something, it seems way too cheap, but I've taken it anyway, and I've taken the risk, as I do with all my crash damage salvage. All my cars I buy, there's always a risk element involved, and this one will be no different. Now, weirdly, I've just sold my Volkswagen Touareg, the 5-litre V10 that I bought a few months ago, well, loads of months ago, and I just lost interest in it, if I'm honest, and it just wasn't worth financially repairing. That's probably why I lost interest. So I've just sold it, lost about £1,400 on it, and 10 minutes later, someone inboxes me and says, I've got an Audi Q7, it's a 2007, it's been sat for 2 years, it needs £4,000 spending on it. Do you want it for £1,000? Otherwise, I'm just gonna scrap it, come pick it up. And I'm like, no, I don't, but yes, I do. I'll come and get it, give you £1,000, and that is where she sits. Now, I don't know anything wrong with it, apart from the obvious, there's an air suspension fault, which when I show you in a second, it'll be obvious that that is a fault, and that is all I know. So the £4,000, it could be parts labour, it could be labour, I don't even know. So we're gonna find out. So please welcome to the channel, my new Audi Q7. I have no idea what is wrong with it, but it only cost me £1,000. So now I'm hoping that the only thing wrong with it is obviously the air suspension. Fingers crossed that it went to Audi. So they quoted £4,000 for the repair. So I'm hoping that Audi have just quoted for a new air compressor and it was like £3,000 or something. And I'm hoping that I can also get one reconditioned for far cheaper or find a second-hand one. So I'm kind of riding on hopes and dreams at the minute. But let me know in the comments, what do you think of my new £1,000 Audi Q7? I was even thinking, if it turns out to be a good car, I can sell the pickup, because this has a tow bar. It's got a removable tow bar, which I found in the boot, and it can tow 3.5 tons, so it can literally do the pickup's job, and I'm paying £400 a month for that pickup. So if I can save £400 a month, and yeah, why not? So let me know in the comments, what do you think to my new Audi Q7? Now this is going to anger a few people, and well, probably a lot more than a few people. I'm not too happy about it, but we're going to get it in the workshop first of all. We're not going to clean it, and that is because I'm on a time limit and I want to get it in, diagnose it, order the part, then clean it. But the good news for you is it's probably going to be all in the same video, whereas for me it's probably going to be over about a 10-day period. So get her in the workshop. Look at that, 575-mile range. But yeah, it's very bumpy. Ugh. Oh, this is awful. There's a weird clunking noise at the back as well, I don't know what that is. Beautiful. Now I thought I'd just have a quick look under the car before we start diagnosing the air suspension fault, and it's pretty much as you'd expect. Just pretty rusty and corroded for a car that's obviously sat doing nothing for a couple of years, but also it doesn't look too bad due to the mileage. So yeah, it's pretty much as I expected. All looks good. There's no like oil leaks or anything like that, nothing major. Looks like drive shaft, all the boots, rubber boots, look to be intact still, so that's good. So yeah, it's not too bad. Looks okay. Nothing major up there, just a bit of oil misting, which is pretty standard on any car really. But yeah, all looks okay. Exhaust, all looks pretty clean here. Prop, all looks okay. So we'll just bring it back down on the ground. Now while I'm under here, I've just located the air compressor, which is under the driver's side, pretty much under the driver's seat underneath the car. So we've just got to drop this panel down, and I've just pulled it enough out of the way just so I can see it, and it is in there, look. Probably best, it's that whole unit in there. Now I was just trying to get a part number off it to save me trying to find out later down the line when it's on the floor, and yeah, I can't really see one. So I have just cheated and I've just phoned Audi to get a price on a new one and a part number. So we're just going to bring the car back down on the floor, and it is very expensive. So yeah, I've just, as I said, phoned Audi, got the part number and the price. Now, the price for just the compressor alone is just, I think it was £2,949 just for the compressor. So I'm feeling optimistic that the £4,000 quoted repair bill was probably 95% the compressor. Obviously, I don't know how much labour it is, I wouldn't have thought too much, but even at 2 hours at Audi's rates, you're looking at 350, 400 quid. So yeah, you're looking at 3.5 grand to replace the compressor, and they might have rounded up the repair bill from 3.5 to 4 grand. So, or then just might have been a few other little bits that needed doing. So you can be confident that 95% of this £4,000 quoted repair bill is indeed that compressor. Now, I've obviously got the part number, so I can now Google search the part number to see if there's any second-hand units up or anything like that. Now, this is where it gets a little bit weirdly interesting, in a good way. So I should have just brought it up on the screen on my phone, and I've just Googled the part number. As you can see, I've just put it on eBay, as that's where I normally, it's my go-to for parts. And yeah, look how cheap these are. They're not OE, but they're pattern parts, but 200 quid, look. £200 for the compressor, a relay, and the solenoid. Now, that's just, how are Audi charging well over 10 times the amount for the same thing? There's got to be something I'm missing, surely. But I'll put the part number in. It says, if you go on it, look, it's got the part number, OE quality. Look, it's got the part number. It comes with a 2-year warranty. So at the minute, I can't really find a reason not to buy this. Looks exactly what I want. 200 quid. So I've just bought it. Right, so just going into the air suspension system on the diagnostic machine, I have quite a few codes. Switch off due to excessive temperature, signal wire from control sensor. There's just loads of faults. Now, the pump has never actually worked. As you saw, the car was just sat on its arse, which means there's no air in the system. The compressor wasn't working. So the first thing I'm going to do is obviously just clear these codes, just because the code stored may stop the pump from working. And then if we go back, and then what I'm going to do now is just check for fuses, and if the fuses are okay, I'll try and get the pump to actuate on here, and if it doesn't, then yeah, we probably need a new pump. Now, unfortunately, the user manual for the car doesn't actually give me any fuse locations at all, so I've just had to do a quick Google search, and it tells me that the air suspension system has a 40 amp fuse, which is located by the battery in this fuse box here, which for a UK car is under the passenger seat. So I've just had to remove the 4 bolts for the passenger seat and then just slid that back out the way, and here it is here. And yeah, it said fuse location A, which is this one here, so there's a 40 amp fuse here, and that does indeed look blown. Let me just remove it. Let's see if I can remove it easily. There we go. Is it blown? It looks certainly blown. Yeah, that's blown, yeah. Now the fuse is blown, obviously because we saw the fault codes there. The pump has overheated, probably drawn too much current, and then blown the fuse. So there's one of two things. There's either an internal fault with the pump, or it's seized, or there's a leak somewhere in the system and the pump's just been working its ass off trying to build up pressure when it can't, because obviously there's a leak, and therefore it's just got too hot, overheated, and blown the fuse. Now, as I just said, I've already ordered that pump because £200, it was kind of a no-brainer, because the chances are it probably is going to be the pump. It's a bit of a common problem. Now, I've just had a look, and actually Halfords have a couple of 40 amp maxi fuses in stock. I need to go there anyway to get a few bits, so I'm going to head there now, get 2 or 3 fuses, come back, and then we'll test the system. So there we go, just got back, popped to Halfords, bought 2 40 amp fuses. So let's now just fit that, and we'll see what happens, whether the pump works and we've just got a big air leak, or the pump's burnt out because it was working so hard. Let's see what happens. Let's turn the ignition on. Suspension would work just by opening the door. Oh, I heard a noise. There we go. It's doing something. Is it working? Well, the pump's definitely working. You can hear it. It's coming up. This is weird. Okay. Is that comfort height? It still looks a bit low to me. However, the pump is working. Is it a set height? Is the front? Is this, yeah, look, it's all raised. And the light's gone on the dash, look. It's got the green light, it's now not. Folks, don't tell me it was just a fuse. No, I'm not going to get too excited. However, it's just set. Genuine head scratch moment. Well, that pump sounded fine. It's just pumped the suspension up. I can't hear any leaks. I tell you what, my battery's about to go flat in the camera. I'm going to stick it on charge. I'm going to turn the ignition off. I'm going to leave it for sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, and I'm going to see if any air leaks, I can hear any air leaks, or the suspension drops in that half an hour. And if not, we'll have a play around with the system, read some faults, do some maybe basic settings, and then, don't know. Right, so I've left it for about half an hour and the car hasn't leaked anything. It's still sitting okay. So let's just do a little bit more testing. I'm just going to turn the ignition, let's just jump in. Right, let's just turn the ignition on. Pay attention to that. So let's just mess around with this and see if I can get it to change. So if we go, can I just get it to raise? Don't know if I can. To be fair, it does say unavailable. There you go, so now it's setting it and you can see it on the dash here. I can hear the pump going. I can feel it going up. Let's just jump out. It's definitely gone up. It's quite high. So the pump's just knocked off. It's at the correct height, so that's working fine. So let's just go back down. Let's just put it in automatic. It says automatic unavailable. Now that's unavailable as well. Interesting. So there is a problem. Well, I feel a bit silly there. So yeah, I couldn't work out why it wasn't going down, because I can get it to go down on VAGCOM, I can get it to go down independently on every corner, absolutely fine. It will raise absolutely fine. The sensors all worked. The only thing that wasn't working is the car itself wouldn't put it down, and I just couldn't work it out. And in the end, I feel a bit stupid. It's because I had the door open, which now looking back makes sense. It doesn't want to lower the car just in case you've got your door open and it lowers it down onto something and it bends the door. Makes complete sense. So I shut the door and yeah, it worked absolutely fine. So at least it works. Now the car seems to be completely fault-free. So don't get me wrong, it obviously overheated for a reason, but that could just be one of those things. I mean, fuses do go sometimes for no reason. It could have been when it was freezing cold in the winter and the pump was frozen. It could have been anything like that. So obviously I'll keep an eye on it. It seems to be working fine at the moment. So that's the only thing I can do, just keep an eye on it. But it is now time to get her outside and yeah, proper clean this off and see what we need to do damage wise, maybe the wheels and other bits, and obviously it's going to need an MOT as well, so we need to look into that. But first, let's get it cleaned. Now that was probably one of the most satisfying cleans of a car I've ever done, purely because it was so dirty and grimy. but it came off really easily. So I've spent like 45 minutes, jet wash, bucket and sponge, and it looks 100 times better than before. Don't get me wrong, there is some damage on it, which we're gonna go over in a second, but just look how much better this Q7 looks. Now, it's actually been a few weeks since I cleaned the 7, and that clip you just saw, and that is because I wanted to leave the Q7 sat to see if it lost air over time, because obviously it shouldn't have any leaks, it should sit at a constant height. So I set it to its highest point, and I've just left it for a few weeks, and yeah, we've got problems. I've got to be careful because I've got my new truck here, look, which I haven't revealed yet. But yeah, as you can see, look, it's pretty much sunk, definitely on the rear, and mostly on this side, but not as much. And again, the same on the right hand side front. It's taken 2 weeks to get to this point. The rears pretty much went flat over about 2 days. The fronts have taken a lot longer, maybe over a week. So yeah, we've definitely got air leaks in the system. We just need to find out where. So yeah, haven't quite fixed it, and in those 2 weeks, I've actually had and as I was saying, in those 2 weeks, I've had the interior completely professionally valeted, and it actually looks really, really clean. There was no damage really on the inside anyway, it was just a bit dirty. But yeah, like those floor mats could do with replacing, but it's a really clean car. Really nice. So like the Golf R32 video, I was trying to do this like all in one, but again, that hasn't happened. There is a fault with the suspension that we need to look further into, so there will be a part 2 to the Q7. We've obviously got very small leaks, so could be looking at 4 new airbags, or there's the block where the air pump is. I can't remember what it's called now, but it could be leaking from there. So yeah, there will be a part 2 to this Q7 video, and we will have to find very, very minuscule air leaks. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy the Q7 video, and let me know what you think to it. And is £1,000, is that looking cheap at the minute, or is that starting to look mediocre value?